Well, most doctors who work in actual hospitals and medical institutions have to show up to the office. We know that employees are more productive and more efficient when they are working in an in-office environment.
Honestly, this may go down as one of the most jaw-dropping media missteps of the year. So let's break down what unfolded on live television. Michael Strahan, a former NFL player turned Good Morning America anchor, walked in looking confident, clearly expecting to land a clean political win. That's not how it played out. During the interview, Strahan was interrupted, redirected, and completely thrown off balance despite once being known for flattening quarterbacks on the field. Leavitt didn't just withstand the pressure. She turned it around so effectively that Strahan ended up looking like a rookie playing in the wrong arena. The most striking part is that she didn't need many words to do it. So what really happened? How did what was meant to be a clever trap turn into an on-air collapse? Let's take a closer look, because it all started with a question Strahan likely believed would catch her off guard.
We want to start with the administration's offer to buy with a mass buyout to federal employees out there. How many do you hope will take it? And by what percentage does the president want to downsize the federal workforce?
Now, if you work as a mainstream media presenter, you may think that this presents the administration as cold and heartless. It should read something scary, like dictatorial, anti-worker, or anything like. But Karoline was ready. She did not flinch. She didn't waffle. She leaned forward and spelled it out. This was by no means a mass firing spree. It was a voluntary buyout. It is accurate. Yes. Giving, willing, even. Employees are entitled to 8 months of paid leave and the option to resign. It was a genuine decision and a well-paid one at that, rather than a forced exit or a pink slip. And why? Because, as she noted, only 6% of government workers in Washington, D.C. even show up for work.
This is another promise made and kept by President Trump. He told the American people on the campaign trail that he was going to make our federal government more efficient and productive. And it is a fact.
You are in charge of the big federal buildings downtown, the marble floors, the lights, and the heat. Even though 94% of those employees participate from their couches, coffee in hand, and pajamas on, acting like a morning Zoom counts as public service. Leavitt didn't think twice. Taxpayer-funded indolence, she said. And strong. He didn't know where to look. Teachers, police officers, nurses, America's real workers show up every day. She reminded everyone. They are not permitted to neglect their obligations. They are not compensated for staying at home. Therefore, why should careless federal employees be permitted to...
Federal bureaucrats in this city don't like that? Well, guess what? They can resign from their positions, and this administration is offering them 8 months of pay. They will be paid through September just to simply resign from their positions. If 5 to 10% of the federal workforce resigns, it will save taxpayers tens of billions of dollars. And so, look, we want people to return to work. We have beautiful federal office buildings here in Washington, D.C. that American taxpayers are paying for. They should be used. That's what the American people deserve.
Faltered. Okay, but what about the doctors and scientists? That was supposed to be the trap that grabbed her in the end. But home-based doctors, hurry up. Karoline didn't even flinch. She articulated exactly what we were all thinking. FaceTime cannot be used to diagnose a patient. It is not possible to conduct lab experiments from the kitchen counter. That's not science. That's sitcom science. Her answer was brutal in the greatest sense of the word. It wasn't brutality. It was the reality. The administration was merely stating, if we're paying you with tax dollars, we expect you to actually show up and do your job. It's startling, isn't it?
Let's get to the funding part. The White House putting a freeze on federal assistance program. The federal judges put the freeze temporarily on hold, saying the government itself doesn't have the full scope of the programs that are going to be impacted. So what's your response to that?
He brought up government assistance programs, suggesting that the administration was cutting back on aid to the most disadvantaged, vulnerable, and impoverished populations. A classic emotional appeal is the how dare you point of view.
This is a temporary pause on federal assistance and grants so that the Office of Management and Budget here in the Executive Office of the President can review all federal assistance that is going out.
Karoline, on the other hand, clearly refuted that narrative. This was not an arbitrary frenzy of budget cuts.
And as I repeatedly stated yesterday, individual assistance such as Medicare payments, Social Security benefits, welfare, food stamps, and Medicaid assistance will not be impacted by this federal pause. So the American people should not worry. If they're receiving individual assistance from the federal government, they will continue to receive that.
The issue is that this isn't about denying people food aid or terminating grandma's Medicare. Important programs like Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, and SNAP benefits were untouched and carried on as usual, Karoline highlighted repeatedly. They were lingering over the obviously pointless nonsense.
What we cannot do is fund programs that run contrary to the executive orders and actions that this president has already taken. So there will be no more federal funding for DEI programs. There will be no more federal funding for the Green New Deal, which is an order from the previous administration that President Trump has rescinded. It would make no sense for American taxpayers to pay for policies that this administration is no longer implementing.
Shrimp running on treadmills is the subject of this government-funded study. It's not a joke, no. You were the one who paid for that. Karoline displayed it as though it were the receipt for a poorly prepared dish. We're not going to keep throwing money at programs like day training seminars and Green New Deal legacy projects that the current administration isn't even running. She stated,
the Medicaid system was disrupted across the country yesterday. Online portals, they went down in response to this freeze action. So should that not have happened? And is that a sign of a chaotic rollout?
But wait, things get better. He reached into his back pocket for one more zinger. The installation of the freeze apparently caused a momentary malfunction in the Medicaid interface. This, he thought, was his opportunity to fully control her. A technical mistake, a sign of chaos and fear on the street.
No, absolutely not. And I would like to address that. We were made aware of that immediately, and we amended the problem immediately. The Medicaid program is back up and running online.
In just a few minutes, the portal was fixed. Karoline immediately pursued it. No excuses, no fleeing. Yes, they were aware. Yes, it was immediately corrected. The system was not only functioning, but it was doing so more effectively than it had previously.
Okay, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., let's go to another topic. There's a lot to cover here. President Trump's nominee for Secretary of Health and Human Services had his confirmation hearing this morning. Well, his cousin, Karoline Kennedy, she's speaking out against him, calling him, quote, unqualified with dangerous and willfully misinformed views on vaccines, and that he is a predator. And what's your response to that?
Strahan sat there, grinning clumsily and hardly nodding. His entire plan of assault had been revealed. It was, to be honest, like seeing a high school debate coach analyze a confused first-year student who hadn't finished the reading, and it wasn't completed when you thought it was. Strahan tried again, this time with the Kennedy card.
I would reject those comments fiercely. RFK Jr. is widely respected. He's a great man who has dedicated his life to public service and to research. He is pro-science, and he is committed to making this country healthy again. He campaigned alongside President Trump, and they spoke that motto to tens of millions of Americans across the country who clearly believed in it. America is one of the richest yet unhealthiest countries in the world.
Karoline's response was a total mic drop. Not just his defense, but RFK Jr.'s entire record was endorsed by her. She highlighted his decades of work in public health, environmental justice, and scientific transparency. Kennedy reminded everyone that she wasn't some strange conspiracy theorist.
Look at our obesity rates, our autism rates. We should be performing far better. Our people should be much healthier. And that's all that RFK Jr. is trying to do. And so President Trump stands strongly behind him, and we look forward to watching him shine on Capitol Hill today in his confirmation hearing, just like all of the other nominees that President Trump has appointed to their respective agencies and departments.
And if someone wants to ask difficult questions about that, maybe we should listen. It's acceptable to disagree with RFK Jr., by the way. But seeing him as dangerous just because he challenges broken systems is hardly journalism. That is a symptom of cowardice. Karoline would not tolerate it. Right now, Strahan had nothing left. So what is the real lesson? The media elite despises Karoline Leavitt because she won't give in, not because she is wrong. She doesn't take part in their game. She refuses to be cornered by weaponized narratives or loaded questions. And instead of using drama or spin when she is in the spotlight, she shines with logic, facts, and a clear sense of purpose. This annoys them because they are used to conservatives who back down, apologize, and play defense. Karoline doesn't do that. She flips the roles, making you justify your ridiculousness. Because she regularly outperforms haughty media theatrics with honesty, clarity, and courage, she will continue to win these debates. Therefore, Karoline Leavitt fired Michael Strahan for a 30-yard loss in the political arena, despite the fact that he was a legend on the football field. For more breakdowns like this one, please subscribe, hit the like button, and let me know in the comments if you've read this far. This year, have you seen anyone surpass Karoline's media smackdown? Please feel free to express your thoughts below. I will read to everyone.